Hi everyone, I'm Nabil. Welcome to the SolStreet block party, where we'll be discussing the work we did over the last month and the exciting developments coming up. We got the Mango Markets integration, NFTs, the STRT Token, and a bunch more stuff to chat about. So this may be the first time many of you are hearing our voices. So let's quickly introduce ourselves. My name is Nabil. I am SolStreet's community manager, meaning I am the liaison between the community and every operational and technical team. I take stock of every feature request, suggestion, bug report, and a bit of feedback you guys may have, and try to ensure that whatever is needed to make the change gets done to the best of our ability. A bit of background on me: I've been in the crypto space since 2016. I have a degree in chemical engineering, as well as experience in market research, data, and have previously worked for Binance as well as other crypto projects. Now my focus is to work with the SolStreet team and the community to build a product that solves the issues of traditional asset management and brings tons and tons of value and opportunity to all users native to the crypto space and looking to join in. Let me give the rest a chance to introduce themselves. Cool.
Hi everyone, I'm Heinrich. I lead SolStreet, so my job in a nutshell is to make sure we're all pulling in the same direction, and that direction is to take SolStreet to a massively scaled platform where people from all over the world can become fund managers and other people from all over the world can invest in those fund managers. Very briefly, my background is that until a few months ago, I was a partner at Africa's largest law firm specialized in commercial law, and I left in order to join SolStreet. But whilst I was a partner at the law firm, I also did an MBA, and I have been invested in crypto since 2014. And over the last 4 or 5 years, I've focused primarily on algorithmic trading, on open source projects like Hummingbot, and market neutral strategies of trading. I think at that point, let me hand over to Geoff to introduce himself.
Thanks, Hein. Hello, everyone. Mark, Anik, Soulboy, Daddy, a Bitcoin skeptic, Ling Taiwan, Rama, avid learner. It's nice that we can mention everyone by name, but I'm Geoff. I'm the head of growth for SolStreet, and what that means in a nutshell is it's my job to figure out and then execute on whatever's going to drive up the size of our user base and in turn drive up the scale of our AUM across the protocol. So that involves a number of things kind of at the interface of marketing and community and product, but it's mostly about the objective and making that happen in collaboration with the team. My background is quite varied. I studied stats and market research originally, got involved in crypto towards the end of 2016. I actually wrote a thesis on the mainstream adoption of Ethereum at that stage. And since then, I spent some time in a consulting capacity, helping other organizations build communities. I then moved into an educational technology startup where I was also leading growth. And then a couple of months ago, couldn't help myself but to dive into Web3 and DeFi, and met Alexis, and the rest is history. So super excited to be here. On that note, Alexis.
Cool. Thanks for that, guys. Welcome everyone to our first block party. I'm excited to be doing this on a regular basis. My name is Alexis, and I lead the product with SolStreet. I essentially ensure that the feedback that Nabil collects in the community and the strategies that Geoff is executing on the marketing and the vision that Hein is creating for SolStreet, all tied together to deliver on a product that makes sure that it checks all those boxes. My background is in startups. I've started a number of different startups, mainly around tech, software as a service, and relatively recently, I sold out a stake of an online travel business to a listed company. I got involved with crypto sort of 2014, 13, 14, read the white paper, quit my job to go and start a Bitcoin business. Little did I know I got my timing really wrong. But now here we sit with smart contracts and platforms that can do everything that we sort of dreamt that we could build out on crypto, and now I'm getting the opportunity to build that out on SolStreet. Very excited about what's to come in the future, and I'll hand it over to Pat next.
Awesome, guys. Awesome. Thanks for those intros on yourselves. As you heard that, I am Pat, speedster.soul. And my background is, I started obviously then with the small thing on my academic background, sort of majored in politics and philosophy, carried economics along with me. And, thereafter started working at a biotech and ICT focused incubator. So, I'd sort of say my background is in startups as well, a little bit different to Alexis's. Sort of working there, enjoy tracking, getting an understanding of and seeing how things work in the startup process, ideas, venture inception, take it to dev, to MVP, to markets. Uber exciting, yeah. And basically what that's opened up for me then is, with these opportunities in Web3 and DApps and DeFi and everything that we're currently busy building, these new ventures, like the one that we're busy building, they're uber attractive opportunities for somebody with that background to hop into and really want to get involved with. So what do I then do at SolStreet.finance? I work on the content generation side. So basically I take whatever it is that we've been up to in a given period, and this is one part, of course, put it into easy to digest, media collateral so we can share with you guys, and also keep us in updates on what we've been doing for ourselves. And the other part of what I get up to is doing a little bit of market research and coming to understand what's going on in the Solana ecosystem. And I get to share that all with you through the SolStreet Journal. Again, that's a little bit of myself and what I get up to.
Cool. Thank you very much, Pat. Before I hand over to Hein, let me just let you guys know, if you have any questions while we're chatting, feel free to drop them in the AMA sessions channel. I'll be checking those and we can get to your questions after a brief presentation from us. I now hand over to Hein, who will chat about the business development side of things and what we get up to at SolStreet.
All right. Before I take you guys through these operational aspects of what we're doing, the key steps to unlocking the next phases of the protocol. So after I do that, we will speak a bit more about the product. We'll speak a bit more about the go-to-market strategy, about what we have in mind for NFTs and content. But okay, the agenda done, let me jump into my part of things. So the big question at this stage, I think two big question is really when token, when cap removed from funds, right? So in order to unlock those two things, we've set two big conditions for ourselves. The one is that we would have started and completed our smart contract security audit. And the other is that we would have established the SolStreet legal foundation. So I want to take you through a little bit of the logic of that, as well as its status. So first, the smart contract security audit. So in order to do a smart contract security audit is not any kind of requirement per se. There are lots of protocols out there that launch full on without ever doing a smart contract security audit. But we take the safety and security of users' funds super seriously. And so for as long as it's in our means to do so, we will take a more conservative route, which means doing that security audit first. Now, the smart contract security audit doesn't take that long. We are told 3 to 4 weeks, but the thing that takes long is getting into the queue to start that smart contract security audit. That is a 2 to 3 month waiting list. And the reason for that is simply that Solana, because of its potential to absolutely explode in terms of this industry, there's a lot of development going on, a lot of protocols for different things launching. And so there's a hell of a lot of demand for the smart contract security audit. So you need to get into the queue. But let me touch quickly on the legal foundation issue as well. So again, it is possible to launch a protocol without a legal foundation structure in place, but that creates some legal uncertainty. And I'll take you through some examples. Under the heading of tax, in the absence of a legal structure, should the proceeds of the token sale be taxable, for instance, would be one question. Again, in the absence of a legal structure, should the proceeds of that sale by token holders to third parties be taxable? Should the income from protocol fees be taxable? Which country's tax system is applicable? On what scale should those taxes be paid? On the corporate scale or on the personal scale, given that there's no legal foundation? Should tax be withheld for employees would be another question. And then there are lots of other potential laws and regulations that could be applicable depending on the country, such as exchange control regulations. So really, and another example might, for instance, be what is the law in your country or in any given country dealing with virtual assets. These are the so-called VASP acts that you find in some jurisdictions over the world. And if a given jurisdiction has such an act, is it even permissible to issue a token there? And then who, for instance, accrues liability for violations of these things? Many jurisdictions might regard token holding as a kind of general partnership. So our view is really that it's unnecessary to create this kind of legal uncertainty when there is an established solution in place. And, one can, if you were a team that wanted to simply launch a protocol and then run for the hills, you wouldn't be worried about a legal foundation because it adds expense in the beginning and you have to raise funding for these expenses, and your plan is to run away anyway. But if your goal is to establish a protocol that outlives you, such as, for instance, Solana or Ethereum, you will find that all of these protocols create foundations, like the Solana Foundation, like the Ethereum Foundation. And so that is really the footsteps in which we walk. And really the core reason for a foundation is that it chooses a jurisdiction and it chooses a set of rules. So a foundation is a non-profit, and so that controls any potential tax issues. A foundation is established in a specific jurisdiction, and you choose that jurisdiction to either have no exchange control restrictions or to have limited restrictions. And you obviously also choose a foundation jurisdiction that does not have VASP restrictions for issuing of tokens. And so in practice, most of these foundations are established under Swiss law in Zug, and they are established with a purpose. The purpose is the thing that allows a foundation to justify investing in a particular protocol as a non-profit. So in practice, the foundation takes in the money paid by individuals in exchange for crypto tokens, and then uses that money to support the development of platforms and technologies that can arguably deliver the foundation's purpose, that is to serve the protocol. So what the foundation would do is, practically speaking, to pay for various development, marketing, and operational expenses to support the protocol, to be a contracting party for hosting services, to be a contracting party for employment, contracting relationships, advisor relationships, and to be the party to execute on governance decisions insofar as they're necessary. So the foundation is really an independent structure, and the foundation is controlled by a board, and that board oversees the management and operations of the foundation. But there is still a difference in principle between a foundation and a protocol. The protocol decides ultimately through governance votes in what activities it must engage and what decisions it would like to take. And then the foundation implements those decisions insofar as is necessary. So really the TLDR of all of that legalese is that the foundation doesn't control the protocol, but it is established to serve the needs of the protocol and to provide legal protection to those that do engage with the protocol. From a timing perspective, it's similar to the smart contract process in that, it takes a month or so to complete the establishment of the legal foundation, but you have to get into a waiting list. Again, a 2 to 3 month kind of waiting list. Now, both of these things, security audits and foundations, are very expensive. You're talking several $100,000s in total. And to get in the queue for those things, you pay 100% deposit. So with that in mind, that is one of the fundamental reasons why we initiated a fundraising process a month or two ago. And of course, without the fundraising, it would not be possible to undertake the security audit and the establishment of the foundation. So the fundraising itself, that was slowed due to the bear market that each and every single one of us has experienced over the last period. It really is not the best time to have to raise money, but there's no point in waiting, so we started the process anyway. And I mean, the thing to keep in mind there is that it's not only the listeners to this audio that were squeezed, it's also the fund managers, venture capital funds and the like, that are squeezed by that kind of a bearish market. But the good news is that as of yesterday, we signed our lead investor. That means we have now raised more than half of the available round, and we have several other large investors lined up. Most importantly, we are now for the first time able to get in the queue for the smart contract audit and the legal foundation. I don't want to reveal the identity of the lead investor in this call, simply because the lead investor would like to have a little marketing opportunity for themselves, having invested in us. So you will find out soon, TM, who they are. But suffice it for now to say that they are a really big licensed broker dealer and licensed asset manager in the crypto space and also in other finance spaces. And they have, over the last 3 years, traded short of just $200 billion of volume. So we are really excited to have them on board. They're exactly the kind of strategic partner that we would have liked to see from the get-go. And it's hard to think of anyone better suited to that role. And having them on board from a fundraising perspective, we now turn our attention to the other potential investors, and we hope to conclude that in the next 2 or 3 weeks. All right, and if I can then hand over to Alexis to take us through some of the product considerations.
Cool, thanks a lot for that, Hein. Yeah, very exciting stuff there in the pipeline. So from a product perspective, I'm going to chat a little bit about where we've come from, where we're at the moment, and where we are going to, and just give a little bit of an update on a few sort of like technical challenges that we've had that we believe we managed to solve. And I guess the biggest thing which everybody's asking about is when the big one, and anybody who's unfamiliar with the big one, that would be the release that Nabil has been pushing back on any feature request on our current live version, and promising that a lot of these things will be in the big one. So what is the big one? The big one is our hybrid Mango and Serum integrated asset management protocol. It's essentially, you can almost call it a rewrite of what you currently see in our live instance. We've had to refactor most parts of the system. We've had to R&D and solve problems that no one solved before. And we've come to sort of this version that we are currently testing now. So in short, we've completed a hybridized version of Mango and Serum, and that's live and being tested by us internally. We're currently still wrapping up a few pieces around that, which will further improve the UX on it. And we're also doing a complete UI overhaul to incorporate the Mango Market instance into it. Why is this so important to the protocol? The way we see it is that the bare minimum that we need to give to fund managers in order to generate a variety of slightly more advanced strategies would be the ability to both trade spot and leverage perps in the same fund. And this will then open up strategies like market neutral strategies, or if you're running a straight index and you'd like to run a hedge strategy where you're taking a short position in times of sell-offs, this opens up that door. This version is probably about 3 weeks out of completion, and completion being able to ship it to our alpha testers. There's one big design change or piece of tech that we've built, which enables us to get around the account limitation that you have on Solana, which previously limited our max assets to 8 assets. We believe this version is going to ship with 10 assets on Mango Markets and 10 assets on Serum. And we believe we've got the ability to increase that to infinite amount. So that's a huge breakthrough that our tech team has made, and we're very excited to be shipping that. And essentially, this will be our final version that will go through alpha testing, will go through tweaks. This will be the version that goes through the smart contract audits, and then finally, this will be the version that we take to market. That's a quick update on where it is, and I guess a lot of the questions, a lot of the feature feedbacks, and the issues that have been discussed with Nabil within the community, those are pretty much all going to be in this release. Things like UI changes, things like increasing of the max assets per fund, and a bunch of refactors. So yeah, we'll be communicating with the community as we start opening that up for alpha testing. But we currently are actively trading on it internally. So that's a very exciting step change for the product. So I'll leave it at that, and I'll hand it over to Jeffrey to chat a bit about our marketing.
Yeah, thanks, Alexis. Cool. So, the spirit of this call and of future block parties is to look back in time and update you on what's been going on, and then look forward in time and give you a sense of what to expect going forward. So I'm gonna do that in this sort of growth and marketing domain. But I want to, seeing as this is our first ever one, I want to put it in context of some of the big kind of rocks in our roadmap that Hein spoke to. Those being, the security audit and our incorporation of a foundation. Perhaps incorporation is not the right word, but the structuring of the foundation. So while fundraising is ongoing, and while the product is being developed to the point that Alexis was just telling us about, we're not in a position to be aggressive with our marketing and our growth, and so we kind of find ourselves in this unusual intermediary space. Of course, looking backwards, the reason that most of you found SolStreet in the first place was most likely our Money Never Sleeps trading series, and so we've had big events ongoing in the past. We've now been in this sort of lull, quiet phase between that and when we really start kicking things into action after our security audit's complete, after our foundation is set up. And so just to set the broader context for our take to market thinking, and give you a sense for what things will look like once we do become more aggressive with our growth and our marketing, I want to share a couple of thoughts with you guys. So An important thing to understand about us as a community, as a protocol, is because we're a marketplace with two different types of user bases. One being fund managers, which I imagine most of you guys listening will either already be or will soon be fund managers. And the other type of user is an investor, of course. And with any marketplace, there's this challenge of simultaneously growing these two user bases that are mutually dependent on one another. So that's kind of a key consideration we've got in terms of growth and marketing. And we recognize that because of that challenge, we have to kind of create extra good incentives for fund managers to come and believe in the protocol from an early stage, even without a big audience there waiting to invest in the funds. And we also have to give investors really good reason to come and start putting their money into the protocol, even though there's not an enormous range of funds available to them. So that's kind of a broad strategic observation. At the same time, in terms of our philosophy and on the longer term for how we're going to grow the protocol, we're less concerned about capturing existing fund managers that might be operating in other places on competing protocols or any other space within kind of crypto asset management. We're also less concerned about capturing the existing crypto investor market, although we certainly hope to do that. Our emphasis in the medium term is going to be more on helping grow the crypto investor market than it will be on helping capture the crypto investor market. And that's because if you just look at the really broad numbers in the crypto space from an addressable market perspective, the global asset universe, this is now talking worldwide, not just crypto, is something like $300 trillion. And over 30% of that exists in managed funds at a global level. In crypto, the market cap of 1.234 trillion dollars, less than 1% of that exists in managed funds. And so if you can assume, and which we do, and we think it's reasonable to do, so that 1% of managed assets in the crypto space will grow towards the 30-odd% that it is in traditional financial space, then there's a huge opportunity in capturing that market growth rather than competing for the existing 1%, right? So those are just two really big ideas for you guys to be aware of. As for how we do that, and going back to the idea of fund managers and investors and growing those user bases. So if you don't already understand and have a good sense of what our performance mining program is, then that's a really key part of the white paper to go and read up on, because that's going to be one of our key driving incentives for fund managers to get involved early, because essentially you can multiply the returns that you get beyond the possibility of what you could get just from your investors. We then, of course, have the wolfpack of SolStreet, which some of you may have applied for already. We have, I believe, 2 kind of active wolfpack members who've been selected, and those are funds that we will seed with SolStreet Capital to help get off the ground, and fund managers that we really back. We're also then going to have the Wolfies NFT collection, which we'll get to in a little bit more detail in a moment, to help really expand our reach and generate some hype, and that's going to spill over into investor interest as well, we expect. And then on the investor front, we're incubated by a really awesome organization that's got reach to a lot of investors who are kind of crypto curious at the very least. So we've got a good strategic resource in that. We're also going to be building out in time a referral program. We, as you guys will have seen with One Sol Wednesday, we've got some competition ideas, and then we also want to support fund managers, support you guys in growing your own audiences, growing your own investor bases, and we want to see people building brands around their funds. And some of you are doing that already. I don't know who the person is, but there's one great example, which is Geneva Research. That's you'll see their fund on the SolStreet leaderboards. They've built websites, they've built a Twitter presence, and they are kind of operating in a way that we'd like to see more people operating in future, which is as a real kind of brand that's focused on growing their own investor base. And then to kind of support and underpin that, we've got a bunch of really cool content that Patrick is leading and driving, which over time, things like the SolStreet Journal and our future to be released and announced soon podcasts, those are going to be content kind of pillars that help draw people in towards the protocol over time. And then of course we'll do all the traditional, marketing things of promotions and sponsorships and press releases and work with influencers. We've got some really cool influencers who are actually part of our investor base. And then lastly, just leveraging our relationships with other protocols. Some of you guys might have seen that Serum wrote a Medium piece on us a couple of months ago when we went live at the end of December. And Mango have flirted with us on Twitter a little bit. So we'll look to do more and more of that to kind of cross market to audiences of other protocols. So that's the really broad sort of like growth roadmap that I wanted to give for you guys. Now I'll talk just specifically about the NFT project, which I know there's a good bit of curiosity about. We want to be careful not to give away too much detail, but we also do want to start drip feeding you guys with interesting bits and pieces. In the spirit of that, you all know what wolfies look like somewhat. You all know that we've got this cool like wolf kind of theme and persona to work with. And so what I can say definitely is that we will be releasing a wolfie collection within the next, let's say within Q2. We will be doing some pretty cool stuff with those wolfies that we haven't seen much of in the NFT space before. It's going to be a lot more than a profile picture collection. That said, we want to make the art as wonderful and full of surprises as we possibly can. So it's going to have just aesthetic value in and of itself. But in terms of tying wolfies back into SolStreet as a protocol, we've got some pretty cool ideas, and we think that as a team that's fully doxed with a live product on mainnet, that puts us in a really advantageous position if you compare us to an anon team running a profile picture NFT project. So I'm gonna let Nabil say a couple of other things on NFTs, whatever else he'd like to tease you guys with, and yeah, leave it there.
Cool. Yeah, like Geoff said, we don't want to give too much away now, but first and foremost on our minds when making this collection and thinking of how we're going to bring value to every holder of the NFT and everyone in our community who's been with us for the past half a year that we've been having the competition through testing phases, things like the roles in the Discord, just being active, being here, chatting to us. We notice it all and take note of it. And first and foremost, when making our collection, we wanted to benefit the community and you guys. Yeah, so there is a lot to look forward to, and a lot of information will be coming post our limitless launch and the alpha testing for the alpha testing for the Mango Markets integration. We'll be dropping all kinds of hints and information on the Wolfies. So stay tuned in the Wolfies channel. Yeah, so much exciting stuff to come, guys. I'll be handing over now.
Can I just say one more thing to underline something you said there, Nav, is that, like we said, we're going to be rewarding people for past, engagement, past interest. And there's never a time that we're not aware of the people who are engaged, who are giving us feedback, who are using the protocol, who are helping bring other people to it. And we're much more committed to surprising people once they've done good things and making sure we're rewarding our strongest community members than we are to saying, like in a traditional NFT project, setting criteria for how you could gain access to a whitelist or something like that. Essentially, those of you who've been involved, we see you, and we're gonna make it worth your while.
Very true, very true. On that note, one last little hint. From speaking about NFTs, something that may or may not be related at all, Hein and Alexis will now be speaking about the STRT Token, which may interest you guys greatly. Hein, Alexis, would you like to take it away?
Yeah, sure. Alrighty. So, as we said, we set those two conditions to launch the token, but there are a lot of tokenomics that will kick in once it is launched. The biggest thing we've already touched on, which is the performance mining rewards. So the basic idea in a nutshell of the performance mining reward is that we will, on a regular basis, probably every week, assess every fund on SolStreet and give it a unique score, which we call the STRT score. And depending on how high your fund's STRT score is, you will receive a portion of that week's performance mining rewards. That will be an extremely large percentage of the total tokens in this project. So in the category of performance mining rewards, we've assigned 50% of all tokens in SolStreet just to reward those top performers. So that category will be divided amongst pure performance mining rewards, staking rewards for the native STRT token, and a few other aspects around the sort of general tokenomics of how the STRT token will work. But the core principle remains that, unlike most other projects and protocols you'll find out there, most of the tokens in this project will go to the community, and will go to the community according to how effectively they've achieved protocol enhancing behavior, which in the context of SolStreet, we really have in mind growing AUM, and not just growing AUM by new users depositing new amounts, but actually by achieving performance. We want you guys to really be the shining stars. We want you to help us scale this product, and ultimately what the average retail investor is buying is your fund. As long as your funds are doing well, users will love SolStreet and will flock to the protocol. So really we see it as sort of a community driven marketing campaign, the performance mining rewards. Alexis, do you want to add something to that?
No, I think you covered all of that. I'm just as excited as everybody else to win tokens. So I think we can hand it over to Pat to chat a little bit about where you stay updated and cool things that he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. I mean, Alexis, you said it best. It's a question that's been on my mind for a while. Same thing with the NFTs, when. And I think a big part of what I do here in writing up, like I mentioned earlier, these sort of shareable collaterals, which we can send through to our community and form part of the overall marketing plan. A big part of what I have to put in there is responses to when. So, what I'm going to do with my part is maybe keep it a little bit practical and say, how do we go about this? How do we stay updated? And these are some of the things that we put into place, what I get up to on the weekly. We have, of course, the weekly mailer. And yeah, this is our check-in with you, the SolStreet community, on everything that we've been up to over the course of the week. It's something that we originally trialed at the start of the year as a daily mailer. And so, yeah, what we basically keep in there is, of course, the major changes and updates to the protocol, all of our bug smashing efforts, again, our stellar team behind it, the devs, all of the new integrations that we're busy putting in, what I consider a TLDR version of their TLDR section on the weekly updates, not the monthly ones. And, in it there, we include our challenges, competitions, other opportunities to get involved with us. It's one compact newsletter that you'll receive every Friday. And again, that speaks to overall marketing plan and strategy. Another part there, second collateral, which we send out, that's the monthly roundup. I made mention of it. It's a full breakdown of what we've been building. We try to miss, as few details as possible, but we still want to keep it to the point. In there, we've got the feedback on our challenges, the results from that, what other major protocol improvements and updates. And of course, that's where we really dive into it and we get down, to the more granular side of things. Of course, in there, we sprinkle some teasers, as you would have seen in the last one. And again, so then the second point, which I get to touch on, I know I went into that earlier. I said diving deeper into the Solana ecosystem. What does that mean? We sort of said that it would be quite nice if SolStreet.finance could, from my side at least, something more than just an update on the weekly as to what we've been doing as a team. And something which we thought was quite interesting would be the SolStreet Journal. And yeah, that is your weekly dose of Solana and DeFi content. It drops every Thursday at 5 p.m. UTC. And then we really do dive into the Solana ecosystem. We've got protocol updates, little neat profiles and what other teams have been doing. Because, as we all know, #WagMe, some more exciting happenings that are taking place within the Solana sphere, interesting collaborations with celebrities, profiling that last week, just interesting things that are happening also within the DeFi space. And again, these are sort of, just ways that we have as a team seen when it comes to implementing what Geoff made mention of, the growth strategy, what are we busy doing? I think these are just really interesting practical ways of going about that. That's what I covered. That's what I do. And Nabil, I'm going to hand it back over to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Pat. Cool. To wrap us off here and open up the floor, if you guys have any questions, please drop them in the AMA sessions. I'll now just be quickly touching on some questions we got this week. One of them from Profitably, where he asked about updating the roadmap section on the webpage. So an updated roadmap will be coming for Q2 and will be added to the site and maintained. This quarter was all about building the product with a lot of time spent on innovative features like Alexis touched on that had no precedents or previous data to follow. So it was difficult to give some hard deadlines, but we now are a lot further on with that. And for Q2, we'll keep the community much more informed and update the roadmap on the site as much as possible. Cool. And then Soulboy, he asked, what's next for the Wolfpack of SolStreet? Yeah, so the Wolfpack of SolStreet was very exciting this quarter. 2 funds got seeded with $5,000 each and had a much higher limit so that we could really test how bigger investments performed on the platform, and how these fund managers were able to really gather the community to invest in them. And we saw some great success with that. Some funds had many investors in them. And for the next quarter, we look to expand on the Wolfpack of SolStreet, get more users involved, and really grow every fund manager's personal brand through the Wolfpack of SolStreet. There'll also be some very cool integrations with the Wolfie NFTs, where we'll speak more on that at a later stage, but integrating NFTs into the SolStreet platform, really showing off that you are a holder, give yourself almost like a Twitter verification stamp on your fund and your SolStreet persona. So even without doxing yourself or having a massive community already, you can really stand out on SolStreet itself and grow your community through that. On that note, I'd like to quickly touch on a cool product feature that we have coming. We've spoken a bit about it with our designer in the Discord, but really giving you almost a timeline, like a Twitter timeline on your fund. So you can really engage with the community as much as possible and grow your brand and your fund and your AUM, the hard line at the end of the day. Cool. We'll give 5 more minutes for questions, I think. If anyone has something in the AMA session or one more thing that we didn't cover that you guys would like to hear about. But thank you all for attending. We appreciate it very much. This session has been recorded and will also be available on our YouTube and announced again in the server. Geoff, I see you.
Yeah, I just wanted to double check. Did you say how many wolfpack spots we're gonna make available over the next few months?
No, I did not. But yeah, it's up for grabs at the moment. Every spot. The submission form, I'll repost it after this. Yeah, we go through every submission. You can supplement your submission with your SolStreet performance and how you've done in this alpha testing stage, and also any other performance like how you trade, your fund strategies, anything that you're keen for us to know that we'd like the most talented fund managers in the wolfpack of SolStreet and really growing it as much as possible. So don't be scared to apply. Whatever size your community is now, it doesn't matter. We'll check it out.
Yeah. So I think just to reiterate the really the kind of meaningful point for the wolfpack of SolStreet in terms of it really hitting the ground running is when we remove the fund limit of $1,000 investment. At that point, we'll be looking to make seed investments into at least, I would say, 15 to 20 more wolfpack members. So there's still definitely opportunity for that. And as Nabil said, performance over the last while and up until that point, we will take into consideration as well. Yeah, cool, man. This has been fun. I'd love to see someone make a meme about Patrick's audio. That would make me real happy. For context, everyone, in South Africa, there's a huge amount of pressure on the power grid, the national power grid, and so we occasionally have these rolling scheduled blackouts to alleviate some of the pressure placed on the power grid. And Patrick got unlucky today and was hit with one of those. So that's why he's at a mall coffee shop. And that's why it sounds like you're being attacked by a mob every time he speaks. But we did hear all of your good stuff, Pat.
My goodness, yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Alexis.
No, I was just saying Geoff was being polite by saying occasionally, like at the moment it's 4 times a day. So
yeah, but we do what we can to always be working. We go to coffee shops, we go and climb cell towers to get Wi-Fi. We'll do whatever it takes. Cannot get disconnected for a minute.
No, guys, that's from our side. Yeah, I had to go and apologize there again for the underwater bear. The bear attack sounds, yeah, please, again, not my intention. As the guys have said there, the rolling blackouts. I mean, the worst part about this is, well, I don't know. Unfortunately, as I said, I don't really have another alternative. It's been quite a bugger. But of course, LFG, WAGME, we're all going to make it.
LFG, WAGME, some great notes to end on. Thanks for attending, guys. This will be a much more regular thing. We'll be having individual AMAs scattered throughout the next quarter and after, but monthly AMAs after every month, just to touch base with you guys, let you know what we've been up to, what we're going to get up to every single month, so you guys can stay in the loop. And yeah, thank you all for attending the first block party. Exciting stuff. See you guys very soon. Cool.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
SolStreet
Cheers.
tools.